dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of National Gallery of Modern Art, Bengaluru, Ministry of Culture, Government of India, I welcome you today for visual presentation by Eminent Printmaker Devraj Dakoji, brought to you in collaboration with Krishna Setty Foundation. To say a few words about Devraj Dakoji, graduated from the College of Fine Arts and Architecture in Hyderabad, 1965. After finishing his studies, he enrolled at the MS University, Baroda, to study process of printmaking. Andhra Pradesh Lalit Kala Academy gave a scholarship to Dakoji to go to Chelsea School of Arts, London, for postgraduate studies in 1975. In 1976-77, Dakoji travelled extensively in England and Europe. This tour helped him understand art forms in West. Later, he joined the Eminent Institute, New Mexico, USA in 1992-93. He has also been Chief Supervisor and Programming Officer of Gari Studio, Lalit Kala Academy, New Delhi. I now request the Director, N.G.M.A. Bengaluru, Ms. Nazreen Banu, to come up on stage and welcome the artist, Mr. Devraj Dakoji. At this moment, I also like to acknowledge and thank Chitrakala Parishad for having organized the second international Biennale must-see show, which has been extended, and also the workshop which is going on, which has been tutored, facilitated by Mr. Devraj Dakoji. If anybody if anybody wants to see the workshop, please visit the campus here at Kumarapura Road. And I also thank all the artists and art fraternity for organizing the exhibition and for the artists to work and to give such a beautiful works here at Bangalore, Karnataka, for us to cherish and to see the artworks. Thank you. I request Mr. Krishna Setty to kindly come up on stage and do the honors on behalf of Krishna Setty Foundation to the artist Devraj Dakoji. I once again thank the artist Devraj Dakoji to be here with us and looking forward for his journey of his printmaking and his artistic journey. And I also thank the director and the artist, Mr. Krishna Setty, for being with us. I thank Mr. Apajaya on behalf of Chitrakala Parishad. He's here with us, and all the artist fraternity. Up to the artist now.
National Gallery Modern Art Director and friends and some artist students. Thanks for giving an honor to the Krishna Setty today and putting so much effort to giving the shawl and this particular thing. And again, that's typical about Karnataka, inviting to the outside. And thanks to Krishna Setty. And particularly, he, in a short notice, he was organizing this main workshop, and at the same time, is particularly my talk about my presentation. So today I'm going to show you about how I started my as art career from my hometown. This is how what he mentioned about a little about my experience, biodata. But I studied in Hyderabad Art College. But during the period, I used to go to the making some group of artists. They used to do like sketching to public garden and then making. Well, at that time I don't know much about printmaking or painting. Only used to carry sketches. I used to do that. Later on, I started working, joined the college. Then I used to go to early morning. I used to do started painting about landscape, surrounding area of Hyderabad. So that I'm going to show you how I started as a landscape painter. Then I switched into the painting. Then I started doing extempore also. I did a lot of paintings during that period. Then after that, then I started oil painting, then watercolor, and I switched into printmaking. So now I'm going to show you some work I did in watercolor. This is my early 80s work, but there are some work also. If you can see that this is my what you call life force, woman pranam series. These are acrylic on a canvas board. Acrylic and then on canvas. This is also acrylic on canvas. But this particular period time, I was doing a lot of acrylic and canvas. Before that, I was doing regarding my hometown, Hyderabad, about landscape surrounding, but same time rock series. Rock series I worked for almost 10 years. The rock series is because Hyderabad is full of boulders and landscape things. It's giving me inspiration. The night time, when you see they have some kind of a dialogue going on with the rocks, each other. Sitting people are talking something like I used to feel it. So I did a lot of that painting, prints and then drawings also. So these particular things only if you I'm sure giving idea about how my career as an artist, as I doing paintings and on canvas. Next. These are light folds on canvas in acrylic. These are also acrylic on a canvas. This is a watercolor piece of a surround about Hyderabad, how it was issued. This is I went to Srinagar, 1964. I painted quite a number of paintings. I had a show in Hyderabad. That time, P.V. Narasimha Raoji was the archaeology minister. Then he inaugurated that show. Then he was remembering about how Kashmir area, he knows it every spot because he was there quite a number of years in Kashmir. Shankaracharya, he was doing research on that. Anyhow, this is my watercolor about Kashmir. This is my recent watercolor and also make a little bit. This is also watercolor. So now this particular work series I was doing the marker and the watercolor together. So marker is I use watercolor base. So when you started doing the marker and after that started using color watercolor, it merged marker and giving a nice effect. So that is I explored in this particular medium. Next. This is again watercolor. And this particular theme I was using in the Wheel of the Life last 8-9 years. This is I started. The same marker and watercolor together. This is again watercolor landscape. So this is my work about little swimming and watercolor during the COVID time. I can't go to outside or I can't go to the work in the print shop in New York. So I was locked out myself at home. So then I was started working in the watercolor and swimming together. This is a series of working the form, growing in a different form. That is the work I am showing this time. These are very small. I did that 3 inches by 5.5 inches like that. This is also me. Is a particularly this ink I started working almost 8-9 years. But this particular medium is inspired me a lot. And then this paper, I'm not using traditional rice paper or Japanese rice paper. I am using a Yupo. It's some kind of a plastic sheet. It was a pH. It's acid free. But you can work as it is. You can get a beautiful result on this. And whatever you put in the image, it stays on the surface. The molecular doesn't observing in the paper like that. But this is surface always stay that. So it gives you nice effect. So I was exploring on the watercolor and at the same time swimming. These are swimming. I know Yupo paper. This is also same. It's the same thing. These are the prints. I was working on lithographs, and then I'm making some kind of shinkle. The shinkle is a technique, is a Chinese, was a very old technique. But those days they used to make a woodcut and like that. So then they used to want to make a little colorful. They used to put down on top of that. They put a paper, colorful paper, to get the interesting to the children's. So that's why we are exploring that technique last so many years in the printmaking world. So that is shinkle. Shinkle and the lithograph. Shinkle and lithograph together. And this particularly what you call swimming, particularly inspired me that. Then I thought I must put it in the lithograph. But lithography is a very different technique. But sometime I used to take a special high resolution photograph. Then I transfer to the photolitho paper. So whatever you put in the swimming, but it get the result on the photolitho. So that is I am using the technique. So this is our repeating one. I want to tell you about this particular technique. So shrinkle, black and white is there, but I changing the color paper, different color paper. So usually in the printmaking world, when you are doing the one print, has to be same print in the edition. But this is a new kind of idea about we got that. This is what we call varied print. So that is they consider as a printmaking ethics. So before I never think about that. So but recently when I was doing one of my senior artist, Sri Hussain work, I was printing in a Robert Langdon printmaking workshop, 2008. So that time he was telling about I did before also 93, 94 also is some of the work that printed on the shrinkle. But that time I printed edition about 25 print over edition, but shrinkle. But editions continue the same thing. But this time he came, Hussain Saab said, no, I want, but each print has to be changed. Image is going to be same, but that has to be color change. But I said, no, sir, I can't be, because the print ethic doesn't allow you. But I don't bother about that, your ethics. But I want to different. Then I was printing during in the rubber black print shop in New York. So one of our directors, professor, he came, he was working in the print shop. That time he was looking the Hussain Saab work, but every print is changing color, and he was surprised to see his work, and he was inspired that work. Then he said, how is this man he got the idea? Because I'm writing a book on this varied print ethics there. So then I said, no, he is a very senior artist of my country. So he got this idea. So, but anyhow, but it's a very interesting part about how Hussain Saab realized, why not we can do this varied print? Why it have to be exactly print? But color changes, doesn't matter. But the image is same, that is important for me. So that I learned a lot from him. I was when I was working that time. So that's why you can see some of the image same, but the color changes. So this is the one intaglio, but I work with the experiment. The image is same, I change the different color scheme. This is another my lithograph and photolitho and the shrinkle. So here the same image, the color are changed. Here in the different color, that is a black and white original one. Now is the color how we paint the road. This again lithograph. Same image, but you can see the color changes, how the depth creates different kind of a feeling. Next. So you can, I see the idea about how basic thing is a black and white the wheel, and then the color changes in the paper. Next. This work is size is 26 inches by 40 inches of size of the work. Because I am showing here in the same image are changing color but not creating a board, but the color how playing a role here in this. This is my color lithograph. This is done in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The 5 color printing traditional method, not Shikale anything, but it's a regular printing. We have created 5 color stone. This is my charcoal drawing, color charcoal drawing. This is again same charcoal drawing. This is the etching I was doing at NYU. The Krishna Setty was invited me as an art in residence in NYU at that time. The Krishna Setty is a very known for a viscosity printing technique. But when I joined his university, that time I was working on a viscosity, how he does. But Krishna Setty, he had a workshop number of times in India. Of course, I attended, he had a workshop in Delhi also. But I am not practiced as a viscosity technique, because the viscosity technique is based on one plate. You can use it, and same time you can use the 3 rollers to create the plate in 3 levels. But your roller is functioning very beautifully. One color you can, but we have at Chitrakala Parshad, Krishna Setty's lot of one gallery there is viscosity prints. But Krishna Setty is a man of the color theory. He got excellent. When I was attending his class, 3-4 hours he's talking about how color is functioning, each color overlapping another color. But in one plate, how exploring the color and making a good print. He is the only man, he invented this technique when he was working in a William Hatter studio. That was in Atelier 17 in Paris. And during that period, I think Mr. Moti, one of the Bombay artists, also working with Krishna. And these 2 people went to see some of the chemist person. So we Of course, William later he was using engraving, but he creating three different levels of engraving. Then he will only get line only. But Krishna Reddy's work is very different than William later. But that time they said, what is the system? We want to use the three colors in one plate. What kind of thing we can use it? Then he said you have to modify in the different kind of oils. Suppose you can using very light diluted oil. Too much oil you put in is going to be, the second roller is not going to touch that person. Then the third roller you are touching, then putting, then other area it doesn't touch. But there is a little confusion. But then they started working. Then at a time is give a multicolor print in that. So that is why Krishna Setty was teaching with Atelier 17 in Paris. After that he moved to New York, and then he was joined as a professor in Printmaker Department, NYU. But that time he is America. He doesn't have much knowledge about the viscosity. Mostly traditional method they were using, like Enquiry and aquatine. But when Krishnaji came to America, they started going to different university, giving a demo how to make a viscosity plate. So that plate itself is giving a really sculpture kind of thing. Then when you start rolling in a different rollers, then it giving multicolor printing. Because I saw first time in 1960 and 65, Illustrated Weekly, his work was publishing that time. But that time I don't know ABCD about viscosity and print also. But it giving excitement to see his work. But when I see when he working on the print, how to make a viscosity and the rolling, using rollers in different colors. So that is a really magic kind of work. So that is why he is a great internationally known as an artist in viscosity. So this is the one work I worked in when I was in London. I was doing my post-graduation program. Then I did a couple of lithographs and intaglio and other things. But this is I work with the mezzotint. This mezzotint was introduced by during the Victoria time. Queen Victoria's portrait they used to make. That time we don't have any photography technique to put in the Queen Victoria portrait. They used to make it on mezzotint and then they send it to their companies, different places, offices. So during that time, this mezzotint was introduced. So this print was actually when I was working this print, is excited to work this technique. So during that time, I went to Victoria Museum, National Museum, and other places to see some what is a mezzotint. One of my professors said, at the same time there's an exhibition going on at that time, there's only mezzotint work. So we are 8 students, we visited that show, and then it was excited. Then I said, I want to do this particular technique, what is the method? Then he said, you have to do rocking and then making the plate, then we can varnish. Then he said, we don't know anything about this. Then this time, my professor, he appointed one guy, he is a specialist. He is from the Middle East. He was doing the excellent mezzotint work. Then he came one semester, he was teaching and mezzotint how to rock the plate and how to get the. But this is the plate is once you're making is a very tedious work thing. So you have to do the 64 direction, you have to rock that, you have to create the plate as a what you call burning thing. So after that you varnish the stone plate, be it small, to make a white. Then after that it is getting a rich velvety black, that thing. So that you can't get in aquatint regular method. So that's why I did a couple of plates and during this period. Then that time I started losing my eyesight. I used to get water. Then I went to doctor. I said, what is, you have to wear specs, otherwise you're going to have a problem. Europe also then some stone. So that was also giving some kind of confidence about how rocks is important in my step. So that is what I was working in the rock since about almost 10 years. Now I'm going to talk about the since things I'm collaborating with lithographs during the in New York, Robert Blackburn print shop. So of course I did before also 94, but this time since we came and we want to make an edition again about his images. So this particular work I was working. Almost the print shop was a lot of artists helping in the assisting me that one of my directors and some students they came for the internet program. So this is time since we came, he was working on aluminum lithoplates and he was interested to print on a very big size images on the plate. That time he said I want to make, because he already moved to Qatar. So that time, Qatar government, they said to him, so why don't you set up some kind of a cultural program to Qatar. Then you can start with the artist kind of a workshop and things like that. Then he came to New York. Then Devraj, you must come to Qatar, you set up one studio because we give the full facilities, whatever you want, we can create for you, but you have to come to Qatar. But I said, no, I don't think I can make it because this is a new place, because I don't know how it's going to be there. Anyhow, during this period, he was working on the aluminum plate, so I'm processing these plates. That particularly, he is a very spontaneously he used to work. This particular time I was not giving it to particular technique, like a regular method technique. So I asked him, I told him, why don't we use what you call toner. The toner we use one mostly in the Xerox printing machine. But this we can use for as a crayon push kind of thing. But this is completely different than that. So you can get a beautiful result in this technique. So when during this technique, I actually was thinking about it's a very strange for me because the traditional technique is completely different. But this particular technique it was used by one of the students in Albuquerque, Tamrin, that he researched on that how to use a toner, how to preserve that, what kind of the plus points using this toner. So that was I was exploring to when I given to Hussein sir, then he was really did excellent, beautiful drawings. Then we working with him that time. So this time I was mentioning to you before my speech. So the Devraj we want to have a different. Each print has to be different. So he's placing the paper on an image he created. Behind there's a drawing, and then he's putting the different papers. Then once the paper is placed, and then we have to glue special glue. And then once you've done the rolling the ink, after that, then we can put the place. Paper has to be facing to you, and then place it, then pass it on the press. Then once you pass in the press, the paper going to be sticking to the paper and the ink is going to print on top of that. So that is what we call Shinkale. But Shinkale traditional method only is a very different kind of thing. But this particular technique I am using, spraying the glue, is a very sticky kind of thing. And it's like a sticker. So now you can see how placing the papers. So this period, I was really learned a lot of things from him also. Of course, I know little technique, but he is having some imagination about how to play this particular technique. So that is the beauty of the senior artists, how they have a vision to work. So this was working that time. I was taking a photograph, each color, how placing that. You see that how the behind the drawing is there. So he is placed the different papers. I will look another one how change. See the next another. See this is the image behind that. Another image. This another image. So this another image. So this time one of our students from Baroda, she is Niyati, I think now is in the, I think they're in Bengaluru. She was helping to. This time I was almost 6, 7 students helping, and my director also, he was helping too. So I'm doing the plate and placing that on a plate. You have to be careful about that, otherwise when you are doing the color lithograph, you have to make each paper, a plate image has to be in. But here is a Shinkale, one image, multicolor feeling, you can get that. So this is how we. That is the one interesting part of sense of when he does, he is always experimenting, that is I learned something. Sometimes he used to talk about, see the how same image, how it looks, replacing the colors. This is another image he was creating, the very big size paper plate. He said I want to 10 feet print he want, but we don't have that much big press. So this print was almost 4 feet by 7 feet image. This is another image. This is another image. This is the calligraphy, and see how color changes. And during this period, I was working on one of the image. He created the Kaaba, the drawing. The Kaaba drawing is this is the calligraphy. This is a gold leaf. I put it on the calligraphy. Original gold leaf. This is the one I want to tell you. This Kaaba I was working. He was working. He made it a Kaaba, it's a black and white drawing. But during that period, I said, Devraj, I want a black paper. But the black paper, why? But why you want a black paper? Already he made a drawing with black ink. So why you want a black paper? I was confused. I was avoiding to getting the black paper. One day he get annoyed on me. I said, no. Devraj, I told you to get black paper, and don't worry, I stopped this work and go and get the black paper. Then I went to get the black paper. I tried to find out some rice paper in black. Then I went and then I bought. Then I rolled the ink on a big plate. It's a 3 feet by 6 feet, this plate. And then after that he said, okay, can you place the black paper on the image? Then I was thinking, why is he getting this old man? Is not, I think something problem maybe. But no. Then after that, he realized he's a senior person, but maybe something he may be in his mind. Then after that, I rolled the spray the gum, and then after that, he placed the black paper on the Kaaba. This is the drawing, original drawing. Then he put the black paper. So black paper become a gray, and the black ink is getting more dominated. So this is the one how it was Kaaba is looking. So this is how he visualized in that way. But as I am a technician, technically I am expert. But that I didn't have thought that way. But in the sense of he thought that. So he created this is a beautiful print, it's an amazing print. And he was playing, we printed almost 25 images. And our edition, not edition, each print is a unique print. I said I learned. So this is another image about Last Supper. So Last Supper he was doing, that I was telling that, sir, Last Supper, everybody died. तो फिर से आप क्यों लास्ट सफर बना रहे हो? तो पेंटिंग बनाए, कोई सब लोग बनाए, फिर से क्या देवराज अभी भी वही प्रॉब्लम है, लास्ट सफर जैसी चाहिए, मगर उसको देखो तो मैं बना दूँ कैसा है. So he was playing Last Supper in a different color in Chinkle. So that is also interesting to work with the senior artist people, how they visualize. But I need to say, this is an original drawing of the Hussain Sahib.
Struggling making a print. The printmaking is not simple. It's a lot of mechanical, physical, and mental layer images. So we struggle so much. So, but we don't have any
opening. I don't know how you people reacted in my talk and my presentation. I hope you enjoy this struggling artist. Thank you very much. Working at a collaboration. So I am the first person in the collaboration system introduced in India. I set up the one studio in what we call Atelier 2221 in Delhi. With my wife, myself, we started. Because I went to Albuquerque to study about how to collaborate printmaking. Because one day I was giving a little experience of what if I thought getting the collaboration printing done in our country. So since I once came to Gadi, he wanted to make an edition of the prints of his own work. Then I told him, of course I learned printmaking, I know experience also. But I told him, I said, sir, we don't have that much facilities to make a edition for your work professionally. But that professionally, we don't have facilities in Gadi. The only people that can come and work as experts, as simple edition, 1 or 2 print can be done. Not like a collaboration prints like done by abroad in Europe and America. Then we said, no, I want that. But then I had to introduce some old city in New Delhi. Then he did, but he was not happy. Then I realized, I said, I must go and think about getting that, how to collaborate. Then I applied for my, what you call it, study leave for my that time. Then I got sanctioned. Then I applied for New Mexico, Albuquerque, I was there. Then I studied 1 year. Then I learned how to collaborate in a lithography, with the artist, what is the requirement, what is the press functioning, what is the artist temperament, what is the ink speed, what is the paper speed. These are the small things you have to face to working with the artists. So that is a collaboration. Then once you've done print proof properly, then you have to say that is the artist approved. That is called BAT, Monetore. That's a French word that is also. In French, of course, in France, it started this collaboration printing early days, like Picasso, Matisse, and other people they did in Paris. But since he traveled a lot, but he did a couple of screen painting and he went to Italy when he was first time he visited. But in India we don't have a concept about collaboration printing done in India, edition particularly, professionally based. But in the Gadi studio I was working when Professor Shankar sir, he was started in the Gadi studio that time. He thought this is a collaboration, a print can be done, and at the same time we can replica, we can make sculptures. At the same time, ceramic also can make that kind of thing, he thought. Then it can be reached to the society easily to the prints and sculptures and ceramic also. Then that time Ramkinkar Baji's sculpture was replica made a 6th edition of the sculpture.
Really wonderful presentation, and we have seen the whole process, how we have actually struggled so much, and I just wanted to know, like, what happened to your atelier, which you did in Delhi? Like, you still have the studio, or I just wanted to know.
No, this studio is set up in 95, 96, actually 95, almost 96, end of 96 early. But we struggled to keep putting the running that almost 6 years. But during that period, hardly we have the equipment, everything we got here on the market. But artists hardly few people came and worked, and that nothing got response properly. We didn't make any proper money, or because that is a drawback about this. Because of course the government, they have set up, set up the studio, but mostly they're working artists themselves. But that's it. But they have facilities there. But in particularly edition, printing, collaboration, we need a professionalism that actually we don't have that kind of system in India. So that's why we started, but nothing has happened. So then we have to wind up the studio and then to sell it to somebody. It's called about my press, one of my press that has been said. So this is about printmakers struggling, that is I can say.
Yeah, that's really sad, sir, because we are all printmaker, we know how difficult it is to build a studio and then you have to close it. That is really a sad part. And I truly understand that we don't have that kind of professionalism for collaboration. And I think there should be some initiative from the academy or from the government to set up this kind of collaboration. And at least I also work with Jyoti Bhatt Studio and Reniduma Studio. So most of the studios they make it, but at one point they closes down. So as a printmaker, I know how difficult to make a print studio. A lot of investment goes on, and then there is no support system. So I think the authority and the academy they have to think a little bit about this.
No, but one interesting part happened in our country. The setting studios in university and making a full undergraduate, graduate program, I appreciate that part. But but we don't have opening. Opening means, I mean to say, to promoting to the printmaker to how to educate the society. Because what is the print? How to make a print? What is the value of the print? Is the original, because mostly artists working themselves and making some prints, or sometimes master printers is making edition, that is okay. But we should know what is the value of the print. But that has to be educated to the society. That is because early days, those British period time, we used to see the lithographs, engravings like that. But that was only displaying the prints in their own offices. But today, contemporary artists, they are doing like a Picasso, Matisse, Dali, they are doing the prints also. Of course, they painters, they doing sculptors. N.G.M.A also, he did prints. But there is a market. They're created by galleries and the society. But in our country, we don't have that. So what is the reason? We have to find out what is the reason. I think this is the one. I think we should make some kind of edition to, then we can make some documentary and then show to the people what is the value of the print. Then that way it can be done. But that was not done and so forth. So we made some lot of efforts to promote this printmaking, our studio. We made a special video for how the printmaking done, what is the edition, what is the ethics, how one by we write 1 by 10 like that. So how it works, one is what BAT, what you mean, artist proof, what. So we should to educate the society. That is what can. Because of course we giving education to the student to print and thing, but we don't have that much education in the society can have ideas. But no colleges we are having a very big problem going on now in India. Because early days we used to get a material easily available, but today is no material is available for printmakers. In the inks is not available in the lithographs. Because the manufacturer they are not making anymore. Because they are not meant for commercially is not a market for them as a production. So there be only few colleges consuming the material. They think that way. So they think about commercial way. But we don't have that. But I think we should have some kind of a promotion for that.
I totally agree, sir. Because a lot of generations of artists, they made a lot of efforts by themselves by making portfolios. But then after making portfolio, what happens? Nobody buys those portfolios. Then that those portfolios stays in the stock and they never get sold. So this is like really a bad state of printmaking in India. Actually, nobody buys print. And even the galleries don't encourage printmakers to do printmaking for a longer time.
I agree 100% with you, but here I tell you one thing. There is a sales section is there in the what you call in a Lalit Kala publication. They are mostly doing that. Even though the museum they have a sales section also. They are publishing their own prints and multicolored things. But if they put the prints in the sales section, so that people can have awareness starts. They come to know what is a print. And the multicolored print is different. So that has to be made it. Because when you go to America and Europe, the museum, they display the original prints also, and they display also in the sales section in the multicolored prints also. So people, they buy prints of that. And especially in the print, we don't have proper gallery in India. So we don't, the council, something has to be made in this country. And that is what we are lacking in this. So we are struggling in that. I'm telling you why I've gone through so many years. I'm working in the prints. But today, I didn't see much opening for that. So only be satisfying with only few people. So now when you say, we make a portfolio, okay, that's fine. But only it's not open for that people. People, they never get awareness. So we should educate it. Only if Jahangir Art Gallery is there's one gallery there, but mostly they do display of the paintings and the print never have any wall. I saw this Chitrakala Parshad, there's a sales section publication. Then I saw some on the wall, some paintings are there, some prints also, I see some. But there's that kind of things in the Lalit Kala I never seen. Sorry to say. And even I never seen in the National Gallery Modern Art or any museum in our country. So we should have something for that, I think.
Sir, firstly I'd like to thank you for coming and inspiring all of us in the workshop, and we're really grateful, our entire batch. And so my question is related to your compositions and drawings. So how do you know which line comes next when you're drawing? What are you thinking? Do you have a free flow? Do you do it without thinking, or have you thought about it the previous night? Or do you how are you connected to your lines? So I'm curious.
Of course, you people are working so hard, and I can see the last couple of days. But you have to aware about the sprint making method. But the printmaking method, wearing is fine, but you have to make a print also with art. I mean to say professionally what is a good print, what is a bad print. So that has to be trained in our workshop and the school. That
his question is, you do have any preconceived ideas before painting?
no, because I don't have any idea about that pre-condition. Just I start working and I make images. That is it. Because mostly I don't have any particular subject to explore in making. But some people they work on the theme wise.
So my question is like, as we all printmakers, like how we can reach the public. See, when it comes to the Ravi Verma, Raja Ravi Verma's oleographs only reach the large number of scale. The oleograph print reach to the public. Through it can be an image of goddesses. And when come to the contemporary art practice, what we are doing today, so how we all can reach the public. And one thing, Raja Ravi Verma, maybe his photographs was very affordable price in that context. And what about when come to the contemporary printmaking practice, what we all doing today, and how we can reach the public. So that is the way only we can extend the practice and also the medium. So what are the suggestions? What is our view on this?
Okay, but that is a good question. But Ravi Verma thing is completely, the process is, of course, the printmaking method is there, but mostly his work are published, and there's an artisan, they used to kept front of them, and then they used to copy by putting dot by dot by hand, color separation, and almost each print has to made of 64 stones they used to draw on that. Then after that, they used to make edition. But edition is not as edition today, what we make as the artists today. But those days, they used to make thousands of prints according to the market. But those days, Ravi Verma prints is he never sign on the print, but only sign on his painting. So we can see his painting signature that in his work on the proof of print. But Ravi Verma print was done on a three way. One is a small and a medium and a big size according to the book that was published. That after that printing done, there is a lacquer coating is done, there is a market. That time we don't have any gallery. That time is only prints are sold on the frame makers. And frame maker they're selling and they make a frame and people put it on the wall. So that was a market. But that price was not because Ravi Verma, he thought my painting is always made a big painting and the mythology subject, whatever he did, some social subject also he did. But that was only for Maharajas and rich people hanging in their houses. But they want to reach to the society. So that's why he set up the studio in Malonawala first time. German collaboration. People, they came, they set up the studio, they used to print edition of that. So that was not numbering. What we numbering today, what we do, how many prints we making. Like, in a Geneva Convention, they have a system, they point out, they made some kind of thing. You can't make more than 250 edition of the prints. Because with some artists, they have more demand. That's why they made a number of prints. So the other artists are making very few prints, but he's not having big market, but like they selling. So that way, Geneva Convention, they made 250 is considered as the ethics of the printmaking, as a maximum. But today, of course, we struggling artists, we make edition about according to the how much selling is. I make a 15 edition, sometimes 25 edition like that, sometimes 10 also. But some artists making edition of Hussein Sahib, making that I mentioned to you, he was making edition of 25 edition. But some prints he made on 200 also. Some prints. But nowadays one of the gallery, this started in Ahmedabad, they making a silk screen, multicolored prints. They making it. That is, they also make money there. But we mean some. This is we are in the process in the but we are not reaching to the society. That's I'm telling some. But we are not proper galleries. So we didn't find and that showing to our work. But gallery people never show print much. Only they show only known artist work, not upcoming artists. But some recently I saw Art Heritage, gallery, they introduced about young artists, I think 8-9 artists' work was displayed. That one gallery is promoting, not going to help that much. So I mean to say that more gallery has to come forward and show to prints also. To educate the print also original work and artists, they struggle to make this how to processing and make a prints. So Rai Verma was not making his own prints, but he is not. But some artisan and publishers, they making a print. That also how much print was sold? Nothing price that.
Sir, can you name any of your contemporaries in printmaking today?
Sorry?
Your contemporaries in printmaking.
Can
Can you name anybody today in India?
They're doing something. That like I mentioned to you that like contemporary, that today artists, known artists also, they're doing the prints. Some very few people.
Very few. Thank you.
I think there are no more questions and we can conclude the talk. Any more questions? So I thank on behalf of National Gallery of Modern Art and Krishna Setty Foundation, the artist Devraj Dakoji for being here with us and for the wonderful presentation, and also the wonderful journey what he has gone through all the years, and his the way of understanding and working with senior artists and the technicalities and to be creative. It's a lot of learning, and also there is some view of how to take print forward or printmaking forward. I thank again sir, I thank Krishna Setty sir for being here, and I thank all of one and all here for being here with us. And kindly follow N.G.M.A on Facebook and Twitter for further events and programs. Thank you all once again. Shubharatri.